If you're still sleeping, wake up. Stop sleeping on TCU. They finally get the win, the big win that a lot of people are talking about, and they did it in extreme fashion in my mind. TCU beats Texas and gives themselves a berth to the Big 12 Conference Championship game and a solidified place in the college football playoff conversation. Welcome to Slasher U. I'm your host, Christian Rao, here with Steve Feck. Steve, again, TCU has shown us time in and time out that they find a way to win.
Right. I mean, and I don't know what else they can possibly do other than maybe tying one arm behind their backs and play against their opponent to prove to, the college football fan base as a whole that they are a national title tender. We were talking a little bit before we came on here about how if TCU loses, they're out of the college football playoff conversation, but I'm not so sure. I really think that TCU, even with a loss, will be one of the four teams, when the final college football playoff brackets are announced. And, Texas got knocked out of the top 25 by TCU, but they showed me something in this game. I don't think any of us expected such a hard-nosed defensive struggle. And, in Texas, you can see why Sarkisian and his staff are so excited about this team next year and in the future. I mean, you don't want to talk about next year when you're still playing games through this year. But, Texas is positioning really for bold quality at this point. They're not really in the conversation, for the conference championship or anything. And all hail the Horned Frog defense. Yeah. Ewer's first completion was to a TCU defensive back. Keyshawn Robinson was not a factor. He rushed for under 30 yards in the game. And I really think that the Texas receivers were hearing footsteps because there were some drop passes in situations where the passes shouldn't be dropped. And I don't know why. I guess because the Big 12 and, you're always thinking offense, and TCU has such a dynamic offense.
Yeah.
But I really watched closely, their defensive performance since it became a defensive game. That Dylan Horton, he's a disrupting force. He had 5 tackles, a sack. He was always in the backfield, it seemed. So, this really also bodes well for TCU with the committee because they showed their defensive prowess as well as what they've been able to do on the offensive side of the ball.
I agree. And on that offensive side of the ball for TCU, Condre Miller obviously had a hell of a game. He really got the scoring started with that breakout run, and that was a beautiful run. I believe it was 75 yards. Yep, 75 yards to get the scoring started for TCU. And Quentin Johnston, welcome back. I mean,
Yes.
What a force he was. He had the first big play, if you will, in the beginning of the game. He made a fantastic touchdown catch. I know he fooled the defenseman, or the defenseman got confused, however you want to call that one or whatever you want to see it. And then he came up big at the end of the game to really get the last first down needed to run out the clock. It was a slant play. Dugan had to make a decision to throw it to. He was a double slant play. He chose Quentin Johnston, and why wouldn't you? He has been so clutch all game, all season. And even with a nagging ankle injury, you could see it was still bugging him. He came in clutch. This is a guy that you want on your team, and I can't wait to see that guy play on Sundays because I can see him being a game changer when he gets up to that next level. He is going to be fantastic. TCU has a tough route still to get to 12-0, and I am on the opposite side of you, Steve. I still think they have to be undefeated to get into the college football playoff. They end the season with Iowa State. Okay, gotcha. They have to win out if Iowa State wants to make it to a bowl game, so they got to get through TCU. But next week they play Baylor, and we have seen Baylor be very tough lately. And TCU is only going into this one as a 3-point favorite. At least they're favored this time. They were a 7-point underdog against Texas. And how poetic was it? How poetic was it that TCU won by a touchdown after being a 7-point underdog? This is going to be a really tough game. I'm really looking forward to seeing this TCU Baylor game. This one's Saturday at noon. Love watching early Big 12 matchup. It's always one of my favorite things to do on a Saturday afternoon.